Hello everyone, I'm Callum at Repair Wins, and in the video today I repair an HP G62 laptop, and the way that I know that is that I'm filming this intro after the fact. The reason why is that I was originally going to repair one machine that I'd looked at in the past that had been given to somebody who was unexperienced, shall we say, that ended up breaking it much further. I put loads of time and effort into it, and as I was editing the footage I was bored, I couldn't follow it, and I thought, well, that's no good, no one's going to watch that. So I ended up buying another machine out of my own pocket that didn't have much wrong with it except it wouldn't turn on. That was fixed in a few minutes, and then in the video I go through the refurbishment process. I install Linux, I give you a quick overview of how Linux works, and then I wrap it all up. It's not a terribly long video, but you might find it interesting. There might be something in there that you haven't seen before in terms of a technique or something along those lines. But anyway, without further ado, I'll just get straight into the video. It's most likely the chipset that's gone bad, because again, the fan just quickly ramps up to maximum speed and that's all it does. So I'm not going to waste any more time on this old board. What we're going to do is refurbish the fresh laptop instead. This is the laptop I ended up purchasing. You can see there in the title, HP G62 laptop plus charger, 4 spares. Simple title, get straight to the point. If you're ever on eBay and you come across this seller, then you can trust them. He dispatched it nice and quickly, it was packaged really well, and he kept me in the loop the whole time. Plenty of photos, described accurately, although I would argue that one's a bit blurry. Either way though, a nice simple description, tells you what it is and what's wrong with it. He said it was working, then suddenly no display. All I did to fix that was take the RAM out and put a replacement 4GB stick in. That's it. So I feel a bit bad for the seller, but chances are he wasn't using it, and I ended up, like I say, we'll end up giving it away to somebody in the video. But yeah, so that's an overview of the machine, and now let's get back into fixing it. I'm going to take the CPU off of this faulty motherboard, and I'm going to transfer it onto my working board. The reason is, this is an i5, and the one on the faulty board is a Pentium. And fun fact, you know, back in the day, the Pentium actually used to be like the i9 of the modern day. But these days, obviously, we all know Pentiums to be complete and utter junk. Let's take this out, let's set it aside, and I guess I'll just set it aside if it's cooler as well. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to take the CPU cooler off of here, and replace this rubbish processor with the slightly better i5. So you never have to force these, it'll just drop into place, and then when it has, we'll just lock the catch. So there you go, that's locked in, and because this thermal paste was only swapped a week ago, I'm just going to put the heatsink straight back on and we'll be absolutely fine. I'll bring this close up so you can see me plug the fan in. And now that that's done, we can get this thing put back into our laptop, and then we can go from there. Off camera, I've cleaned this piece and I've cleaned the palm rest, because there's no point going to all that effort to replace the thermal paste if you're just going to plonk your motherboard inside of a dirty housing that's full of dust. But whilst I was outside cleaning it up, I did realise that I haven't actually revealed who I'm giving this computer away to. So in addition to running Repair Wins, I help run a non-profit called Recognition Circular. And at that non-profit, we train young people and disadvantaged people and digitally excluded people and others in a similar situation how to repair electronics. We're based in Birmingham, if my accent didn't already give it away. And once our participants have completed the course, they get given a free laptop at the end of it, which they fix themselves. This time around, however, a lot of the machines have just sort of miraculously decided that they're going to stop working, or they've got sort of issues that basically make it so that I'm not happy with giving them away because they're just going to fail. So instead, I thought, why don't I take this one off of the scrap heap, I'll take it home, I'll fix it, and it's been sorted in time so that one of the participants on our course is pretty much going to take this machine away with them. So they'd have still gone through and done everything. But obviously we can't have it so that people are without machines at the end after all of their hard work. If you want to learn more anyway about Recognition Circular, then I'll leave a link in the description that explains what we do in further detail. And I realised as well, I forgot to put a screw in here, so I'll do that now. There we go, good stuff. And now that I've done that, the palm rest can go on. So that just goes on there, it'll click into place, at least where there are clips left anyway, it'll click into place. Quite pleased with this laptop though, it's clearly not seen very much use. The first thing you should always do, by the way, is put the screws for the screen hinges in first. So I'm going to get the screw and I'm going to put it up here. And we've got two that are much longer than the others, and it's the two long ones that go on the left and the right. That's just for this laptop though, it doesn't necessarily mean it will be the same for your machine. And then I'm going to do the screws around where the battery goes next. There's no real reason why I'm doing it like that, it's just because they're the only ones in the entire laptop that are the short screws, so I'm just putting the short screws in now. And you might hear some cracks and pops as the rest of the case pulls itself together. I'm not going to bother replacing the BIOS battery, by the way, because modern laptops don't even have them, and I'd have to buy a new one, and there's just no point buying it because the main battery inside the machine does the same thing. The seller left 4 screws with the hard drive caddy, so I've already taken them off of here. I've worked out which way around the SSD goes. I'll just put this like this, and then obviously it's as simple as just putting the 4 screws into the SSD. Here we are then, all screwed in nicely. So I'll just line it up by sliding these 2 rubber pieces in at the front. This sits down in here. Sometimes it's a bit fiddly to line it up, but that sits down in there, and then this piece will just click in. There you go. And then you just slide the excess wire off to the side, and that's all you have to do. And I believe the rest of the screws are for the keyboard. This laptop actually has a nice new keyboard. It's not an official HP one, but it's a high quality unit nonetheless, so I'm obviously going to use that instead of the grubby old one from the other laptop. But before we can get the keyboard installed, there are yet more screws to go in. All done, so I'm going to open the keyboard connector up. They open to 90 degrees. I'm going to lie the keyboard down on its front, fold the connector over, or should I say fold the cable over, line it up with a connector, push it in, and then I'll hold it in place and close it down. You'll hear it click into place, and when it does, you just slide the keyboard in. So that goes just like that. There's a few small catches that just lock it in place, but most of the work is going to be done by the screws on the bottom. And we'll just put the screws in. There we go. I've put 8 GB of RAM in, by the way, and all I need to do now is put the bottom cover on. We'll put the 2 screws in that I took from it, which are a different colour, but I really don't mind that because it lets you know the laptop's been worked on before. And then finally it's just this piece right here as well. We've even got a nice shiny new battery look to replace the 14-year-old one, and to install these you just hook it in at the back like this, and then it'll fold down and click into place. That's all you got to do. Now if I flip this around, fingers crossed it turns on, it likes the new RAM, and fingers crossed it is an i5 and not an i3, because I can't actually remember now. So it switched itself off, that's good news. It'll switch itself back on. It's just turned itself back on, fan is going. I'm going to press the F10 key. F10 gets you into BIOS, at least it normally would, but we get this error that the checksum is corrupt, and the reason why we get that error is because the BIOS has just been reset. So let's try again. Control-Alt-Delete to reboot, and I'll spam F10, which is the BIOS key on an HP, and there we go. Intel Core i5 M460. Nice bright screen, nice big screen, good size keyboard, latest BIOS, 8 gigs of RAM. All we need to do is set the date and the time, and we can get Linux installed. The final step with this machine is to install Linux on it and give it a test. You can see I've already set the date and time in the BIOS, and that's pretty much all there is to do. I just quickly went through and checked the other options, but this is a really simple BIOS, which I like. I've chosen something called MX Linux, so I'm going to press the F9 key. Brings up the boot menu. I'll hit flash disk for the USB drive. A tool called Ventoy opens, and I've got something called MX on there. So we'll hit boot in normal mode, and then we'll just click top option. And then when that loads, I'll run you through the installation process. But the reason why I like MX Linux so much is it's really lightweight, it's really reliable, and it's very, very well supported. Plus, it's if you have any issues, then you can go on Google, and the vast majority of the time you'll be able to find someone who's already had the same problem as you who's solved it. But for an older laptop like this, it makes perfect sense because you can put Windows 10 on here because it's supported till 2026 if you use a Microsoft account, but that's just kicking the can down the road. You might as well just install Linux now and then be able to use it for the foreseeable future instead. So as it boots, you'll see a few things are coming up. It says a Wi-Fi network's available. Gives me the option to install the operating system. Lovely, it's connected to the Wi-Fi, so I'm going to hit change keyboard settings. I'll hit the plus and I'll choose English UK because, well, I'm in the UK and this is a British keyboard. We'll hit apply, we'll hit OK, we'll hit next. Regular install with the whole disk. Yes. And then we'll give the computer a name, so we'll just call it HP G62-laptop. And the work group can just be called work group in block caps. Local, United Kingdom, British English, time zone, Europe, and London. And then we'll hit next. And the user will just make it default user, password of pass. We won't bother with a root account. And that's it. That's literally it. That's done. And because it's installing on an SSD, it'll install nice and fast. I'm just going to let this thing finish doing its install, and you'll notice it's already 80% of the way there, by the way, in just 3 minutes. And then when it's done its install, it will reboot, and we'll go from there. And just for fun, I've opened a webcam test, so we'll hit yes, and we'll hit test my cam, and then you'll be able to see yourself. Look at that. It's webcamception. Wonderful. So even the webcam works. So there's not a thing wrong with this laptop. I'm not going to test every single port. I'm not going to test the DVD drive. We don't need to. We'll do that tomorrow. But I've got no doubt in my mind that those things will work perfectly fine as well. And I was able to pick this whole laptop up for £25. Repaired it, refurbished it, fresh thermal paste, and I mean that's pretty much all it's cost. As you can see, I'm recording this intro very hastily. I'm literally sat here in my coat because I'm going to be stepping out the door in 2 or 3 minutes, so I'd better do it right on the first take. But yeah, I pretty much just want to sum up by saying I've given the laptop over to the person, and they're very happy with it. And the one that wasn't working, I've put it completely back together, and it's gone on the scrap heap. And what happens with the scrap heap is that when new students come in on day one, they're given a machine off of the scrap heap and a screwdriver set, and they're told, take that apart, put it back together. Now, we know full well none of them are ever going to be able to do it, but the point is, if you throw someone into the deep end, they'll learn a lot faster than if you sort of drip feed them information and make them sit there and look at PowerPoint slides and whatnot. So no, both machines are going to get a use, and then fingers crossed, the machine that I've handed over to the recipient is going to get a lot of use. Anyway, if you found the video useful, maybe even entertaining, then feel free to give it a like. Helps with the algorithm, right? I hate that word, algorithm. Ugh, gosh, sounds like something out of Fahrenheit 451. The algorithm is chasing me. But seriously though, likes, comments, subscription, all of it helps greatly. We're trying to get the repair message spread as far as we can. We need more people fixing their own stuff and keeping their own money in their own back pockets. You know, you give Dell £500 for a new laptop, or you spend £8 on a part, 40 on a toolkit, fix it yourself, you've just saved £452. That's called keeping your own money in your back pocket, and it's called voting with your wallet, you know. Anyway though, I do fear that I'm rambling, so I'm going to get out of here. Not too sure what the next video is going to be, because I've got loads of stuff that's half recorded in the pipeline. Fingers crossed it's something decent. It might end up being a bit crap, but you're just going to have to subscribe and see, aren't you? Anyway, until next time, that's it from me, so I'll see you later. Take care, and goodbye.